Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Releasing My Secret, the podcast, where our speakers come on and they amplify their voice one story at a time. This is Coach Santrisa coming to you on tonight to just talk and present my guests. I do get chatty. I say this every single week. I think y'all know that by now, right? So without delay, I will introduce my guest. I'm so honored to have her on, and she'll tell you how to contact her, all that thing at the end, but to connect with her through Clubhouse. And she's just an awesome person with an awesome spirit. And I would be remiss if I didn't have her on tonight and introduce her to all of you guys. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to have Coach Karena introduce herself to you and tell her about herself.
Hello, and thank you, Coach, for inviting me on your show. I am super excited. And I want to say this first before I say anything else. I am extremely proud of you. I watch from the background, I see what you're doing, and I'm extremely proud of you. And so I just wanted to tell you that. And I am Coach Karena Calhoun. I'm a mindset and life coach. I help women, entrepreneurs, and influencers really unveil their authentic selves, discover their purpose, and crush their goals.
Thank you. I listened to your podcast or your videos, I would say, on Instagram, and the tips that you give are amazing. What I do know is that, like myself, a lot of times we have something that drives that, right? That drives us to that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your story as to what kind of inspired you to this place to where you're at now?
Oh, well, honestly, it goes back many, many, many years, and I won't go into great detail, but I will say that like most women, most people these days, I had very traumatic experiences as a kid. And so as I grew up, those experiences kind of escalated. I became what I call a functioning alcoholic. I'm just going to start right out the gate. I became a functioning alcoholic. I would drink every single day, about a 6-pack or more a day. But I would go to work every day. I would take care of my daughter. I would do all the things that I was supposed to do, but I drank because I did not know who I was. I was not saved at the time. I had no idea, that God loved me. I didn't know anything about Jesus. I didn't know that he had gone to the cross for me. I didn't know any of that. And so I remember being in my home. One morning I woke up. As usual, I would sleep with the TV on, and I woke up and there was a televangelist on, and he talked about, if you want to know this love, if you want to know what it's like to be loved and to love, then repeat this prayer after me. And that's really what I wanted. I wanted love. I was at the time in my first marriage, and it was horrible. It was there was violence involved.
Mm-hmm.
There was emotional abuse involved, just all types of things. And so, I needed this love because I knew that I was going down the wrong path. And so I repeated what I heard him saying, and I have not drank since.
Wow.
And that was about 2004. And I was saved right there in my home by myself early in the morning. And I began a path. God began to talk to me almost immediately after that. And I remember him telling me one time, he said, my people are in an identity crisis. And so that has never left me. That has always stayed with me. And so I'm a people watcher. And so I watch people, I listen to what they say. I listen to how they talk about themselves in different situations and things like that. And so when I left corporate America, I knew that I was going to have to do something. And at that time, I called myself being a financial coach, and that didn't work out because and I can talk about that later, but that was my passion. And so ultimately, God said, that's not where I called you. I've called you to be a mindset and life coach to help people, because I've been helping women in their purpose and really find out who they are since 2008. I answered the call into ministry. I'm also a licensed minister, ordained minister. And so God just really, he has pulled so much out of me and poured so much more into me as it relates to that identity crisis. And so now I'm on a journey to help other women really find out who they are, why they are, and then just live that life that God has envisioned for them. So that's it in a nutshell, who I am and why I'm on this path.
That's awesome. Listen, you said so much, right? Like so much. And I want to go back to identity crisis, because I think a lot of people have that issue, like in regards to identifying themselves. So I want to touch a little bit more about that. What I also want to say is the uniqueness of how God uses, he deals with everyone in their own unique way. Let me say that. I don't have a happy televangelist story, right? I got one. It's not a happy one. I think he was saying like what he was saying was true. Girl, listen, what he was saying was true. Like, but he was like, call in to get prayer. And so long story short, I run out the house around the corner. We didn't have a house phone. And I go to a pay phone to call. And I was high as kite because I was smoking some marijuana and I was paranoid as a kite, right? And so I go to the phone, I dial the number, and it's like, please call us back tomorrow. We're closed.
Well, I can say he in this particular situation, I didn't have to call in. He just said, get down on your knees and repeat after me. So I was able to do that. So I'm sure if I had to call, because it was early in the morning, I'm sure they would not have been there.
Yeah, it just brought back a memory, because I was like, but what it did prompt me to do out of all of that, it prompted me when I got back home to pray to the Lord for myself, right? And so I say that because that started part of my journey with learning relationship, outside of having to hear other people, what other people are going to say to you, or other people praying for you. It started my path of learning how to pray for myself in the midst of a situation, right? And so when you were talking about just dealing with identity crisis, I think a lot of people struggle with that, like trying to figure out who they are, their purpose. A lot of times, like for me, like coming up, I had like a one-track mind. So and my thoughts was, I had my son when I was 15, and I was going to be a cop, because I was like, listen, by the time I'm 45, I was like, my oldest to be 30, my middle to be 25, my youngest to be 20. I'm like, I'm retired, I'm gonna be good. And God was like, not so. And so I want to talk about identity crisis from the standpoint of when you're focused in on something, right? And you're locked in, because I was determined. I took classes, I was a criminal justice major, I applied to many things, took the Lee exam. And when God makes that shift, I think that's when people fall into crisis. Can you speak to that? Like, if that was your experience? I know you say you were a financial coach and now you're not, and just speak to that. Because I think a lot of people, when they come to Christ, and sometimes it's not even just that, just in normal life, when that shift happens, a lot of people get lost.
Absolutely. One of the things, and my shift wasn't too terribly long ago. I was in corporate America for 22 years. I was in the mortgage industry. I learned so much in the mortgage industry, how to read credit, how to fix credit, which, I mean, this was way before this big credit boom happened, how to reestablish credit, how to save, how to purchase a home, how to purchase investment property. I learned so much. I learned because I moved so high up in the ranks in the mortgage industry in the company that I was working for at the time. I learned entrepreneurship. I learned business. I learned leadership. I learned so much. And so I had this thought in my mind that this is the direction that God wants me to go in. And so I went and I spent thousands of dollars to become a certified financial coach with one of the top financial coaches in the United States. And so I, went and spent and got this certification, and I had clients. I did okay, but it wasn't what God said. And so I would hit this brick wall. I would go to bed at night, like, just not feeling like I was making the impact that I was supposed to make. And so God took me through this process, and he said, I've called you to help people with their minds. I've called you to help people with their purpose and really knowing who they are authentically. I didn't call you to be a financial coach. Now I can still help people, here and there on the side.
I'm gonna need an invoice. That's just say that. Okay, sorry. Let me cut you off.
And so, I Coach, I honestly, I had a blueprint written out for a home buying academy. I had it all figured out. I knew exactly what I was going to do. My husband and I, we own several properties. Even now, after so much that happened in the 2008, 2009 economic downturn, we lost everything, and God has shown us how to gain it back. So imagine my thought process. Oh, well, this is like a no-brainer. If he's done all of this with us and we're able to now take that information out, why would we not? But that's not where he called me. And so I literally had to go through a process of pulling myself away from all of the thoughts that I had of myself being a financial coach. I wanted to be the hero, okay, in that regard. I wanted to be able to help people change their lives in that regard, but that wasn't what God said. And, I had to get to the point where, I've always believed since I've been saved, God just really brought this to me, that he's had a conversation with us before we were in our mother's womb. And so because he's had that conversation with us, he's shown us who we are. He's shown us our identity. He's shown us our purpose. It's just a matter of us now getting back into his presence to then find out exactly what that is. And so I had to really take that time and do that. Again, I had been doing it under the guise of ministry for so many years. I mean, I had a girls ministry, a young girls ministry, where I would help young girls do the same exact thing. Why didn't it click to me that that's what God wanted me to do, even in my business? I mean, I can tell you the bookcase behind me, I have notebooks and binders and all kinds of things of where I would write content. I've written content for years. Some of the content that I even post now, that stuff is old because I had been writing it for years. I had been really gathering up for years, but not understanding that this is my purpose. This is my purpose. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. You've said so much. I am going to invoice you. I mean, you can invoice me. I'm not going to invoice me. But yeah, so I say that like, you've been talking about process, and I think a lot of people struggle in that. I always say, even when dealing with trauma. So from my side of the spectrum, I normally say a lot of people like to say that they've survived, but people have a problem with surviving the process, right? And processing through, because it's not always a great place to be in, right? The process sometimes is hard. And you're like, God, take this from me. And he's like, just endure. And you're like, but I don't understand. And so I think that trusting God is really just key in the process, because sometimes we can't trace him. Sometimes we can't hear from him. I feel you pulling me. I'm in transition. I think that's a lot of what people are saying now, right? I'm in transition. Like, I don't know where I'm going. I think that's my prayer request that's been on the floor for about the past 2 weeks, right? The transition process, and just understanding that. But what you said that kind of stood out to me. So for someone who's in ministry, right? How do you distinguish? I'm trying to see how to word this, right? So how do you, because some people don't know how to separate the two. I mean, it all goes together, right? Because it's ministry, but when do you go, okay, this is ministry and now, but this is, I'm going to invoice you, if that makes sense.
It does. So I'll tell you this. One of the things God began to speak to me, because I had that hang up for a very long time. I said, God, I don't want to get out here and be called a false prophet, because I don't want people to say, oh, you're charging for this and you're charging for that. And God had to deal with me. He said, Karena, and this was way back when I was in corporate America. I remember one day someone asked me, they said, well, Karena, what do you have planned for the weekend? And I said, oh, I have to go do ministry this weekend. And God stopped me right there in my tracks. And he said, you don't go do ministry. He said, you are ministry. And he said, whether you're at work or whether you're in a church, you are ministry. You don't go do ministry. You, in everything that you are ministry. And so I had to take that in. I had to really soak that in, really digest that, because I said, whoa, this is kind of heavy. What do you mean? And he said, you are who I need you to be when I need you to be. And so one of the things, I went on a mission of really just solidifying who I am in business. And so, it's so funny when I get clients, I don't tell them, hey, I'm Prophet Karena. I'm not going to say that. I tell them, hey, I'm Coach Karena. And if the Lord speaks through in that meeting, then so be it. But you still going to get an invoice. Because I didn't bring you in as Prophet Karena. I brought you in as Coach Karena. But God, I give God his way in whatever time I'm speaking. So if he decides he wants to speak when I have a client, that's his, not my client, that's his client. That's his person, that's his son, his daughter. So I resolved myself to say, okay, God, have your way whenever you want, however you want. And so that's what I've done for myself. And so I would encourage anyone that is in ministry and in business, really resolve it with the Lord as to how he wants to use you. Because you'll find that, when you think about the marketplace was a combination of so much. The sick were brought to the marketplace. The uneducated were brought to the marketplace. There was so much in the marketplace. The unemployed were brought to the marketplace. Not jurisdiction, but court cases were brought to the marketplace. So, when you think about it, and then you had people preaching in the marketplace. So the marketplace is a conglomerate of so much. So we shouldn't be separating anything at all if we are believers, true believers. Now, you don't have to run out. Yeah, you don't have to run out and say, hey, look at me, this is my ministry title, because honestly, some people don't care about that ministry title. They will still cuss you out even with that ministry title. So I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to use that. Yeah.
That's so true. I always say in the Bible references us to work as if we're working unto the Lord. And I think when we put that into perspective, no matter what we do, so that's whether you're in corporate, no matter what you're doing, do it as you're doing unto the Lord. Still show that excellence, still show, because we're walking epistles and people are always looking at us and always, trying to figure things out. How come we don't move like everybody else? How come our response is different from everybody else? And I truly believe that, being a coach, I really believe people should be called to do it, right? Because there are days when you're coaching and then there's days when it's ministry. You're dealing with someone's life, someone's soul, someone's life, and it's nothing to play with. It's not something to be taken lightly, because a lot of people, feel as if, oh, I gave somebody advice, I could be a coach. You know, I gave somebody, oh, I came through this, I could be a mentor. And so hence, especially because of COVID, you have like all these hundreds. I think everybody profile I click on is a coach, is some type of coach. And it's just like, really, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, who you coaching? Like, not like that, but it's just like, I really believe, and I say that because, you know, what you've experienced something, right? And so you bring that, you bring ministry, you bring your heart, your passion, that brings the passion. I've experienced stuff, right? And so I bring my heart, I bring my passion, you know, you bring that empathy, you bring, because I've been in this place. And so now I can coach you, not because I only have a certification, but because I also have the experience and the passion and the heart that's attached to it. Right? It's not about a paper and somebody training me on how to do something. The paper just came afterwards because the paper is going to help me get into some places where my experience wasn't just going to do it all the time. Right? And so you said so much, like you said, in the marketplace, it was so many things going on. That is just so surreal. Even when you study it, you know, healing and, you know, people selling stuff and all kinds of things. And I think that we need to just be ready and be prepared, because the shift can happen at any given time. And I've experienced that being coached, and I've experienced that coaching. And so I get it, right? So dealing with so many people, right? And everything that you've done, what is the most inspiring thing or statement that a client has told you that just touched you, like that just stuck with you, like it'll forever stick with you because it was just so life-changing or heart-piercing?
I would say being free from the thoughts that they've had previously. And it's a lot. It's so many different statements. It's being free. It's knowing what their purpose is, to be free, their life being changed, completely changed. And, you know, and I, like I said, I watch people. So it's not just these people saying this, it's me actually seeing them. You know, because when you're in ministry and you're in business, God will allow you to have that discernment to see people, not just where he wants them to be, but to see them where they are so that you can see the difference. And so when I can see the difference, it is amazing to me. It is astounding to me that I saw this person who was lacking in self-confidence and lacking in self-esteem and had no idea if they were coming or going, and thought that they were okay, but knew that they wasn't. I know that's contradictory, but they thought that they were okay, but knew that they were not. But then to see them after the fact that they're like just running and seeing the confidence, and it's breathtaking. It is breathtaking. And that, honestly, Coach, is what makes me wake up very early every morning without an alarm, and what makes me have to force myself to go to sleep at night, because I'm so excited. Because when you're in your purpose, it is exciting. You know you're making impact, and you don't want to waste time sleeping.
Lord help me. I hit the snooze button. I think I used to tell people, don't hit the snooze button, like, and I still do. But really don't hit it. Just get up, do something. Just go, do something. So somebody who may be, because you talk a lot about goals and things like that, right? And so what if someone said, all right, Coach K, I hear you. I hear everything. I feel like I'm walking in my purpose. Everything is good. I feel like God called me to this, but I don't got no clients. Like, should I pray for them? Should I do something else? Like, I feel like this is my purpose. I feel like I'm in it. How do you find clients? And I don't want you to give out too much of your content, right? But like, just like, how do you if you could just briefly, like, any like a suggestion maybe you could give to them, or an encouragement, I would say that maybe to that.
So I am my authentic self. I give my heart. I talk about what it is they get when they come into contact with me. I talk about the change that they will experience. And if you don't get clients after that, then there may be something, and I'm not a business coach. I've been certified as such. That was, again, doing other stuff, but there may be a messaging issue. You may have the goods, but you just don't have the message right. So there's a lot of different things, but if after all of that, you're still not being impactful the way you want to be, then I would say, are you really in your purpose? Because sometimes we can think that we are. Again, I really thought I was in my purpose. I was actually in my passion and not my purpose.
Y'all, she talk about that too, y'all. Make sure you're not at the end when she give her information, y'all following her, because, whoa, telling you. Anywho, right? I get it. And I laugh when you say that because, I say, okay, I got 20 something years of business experience, and I was doing small business mentorship for a long time, and I had my coaching. And so for me, I was like, I'm gonna stick with what I know because I feel confident in this. I was doing it for so long. And it was like my uncomfortable place, but that's where I found my purpose and in my passion and what I absolutely love doing. I'll be like, I don't really want to, it just kind of intertwines, and God allowed for me to be able to intertwine some of those things together, because you'll just find that the certifications or the things you have is not for naught, right? And so sometimes you can always reach back and pull that information, and you just feel like, whew. And so I think when you're going through the process, I think it's always key for coaches to have coaches to have mentors, for you to have those people around you who are going to push you, who are going to help, who can be true to you. Because sometimes we get carried away with self. And sometimes you need those people who's going to give it to me, good, bad, ugly, and different, but who know how to give it to me and give me that information because they're sensitive to know who I am. Because sometimes some people's deliveries can be really harsh, right? So who are the 3 most influential people to you who've made an impact in your life?
I would say my dad, my husband, and my daughter. And I know that sounds crazy, but my dad, my husband, and my daughter.
And to say why? Yeah, I was going to say, and I'm saying why.
My dad, because my dad was not my biological dad. He actually married my mom and adopted me. And I call him my Obadiah, because if you remember in the Bible when Ezekiel was running and it was just all of this craziness going on, Obadiah hid the prophets in the cave and he fed them bread and water. And so I call my dad my Obadiah because he was the one that took me in, and I felt like he hid me and he fed me and he did all of the things that he was supposed to do. And he's left. He's not here anymore. He's passed. But I call him my Obadiah. And he taught me how to fight in so many different ways. He taught me how to fight, even in the illness that attacked his body, cancer. Even in that, he taught me how to fight spiritually. Here I am. I'm the one that's licensed and ordained, but he taught me another level of fighting. And I mean, I love him. I love him. I absolutely love him. And then my husband, because my husband is such, he's a man, truly a man after God's own heart. When I met my husband, God told me he was going to be my husband. And I said, I'm not telling him, because you know how the church does. You know, those women, they'll say, God said you're my husband. And then something happens. There's an argument or something. And then the man is saying, you told me I was your husband. So I told God, I'm not going to do that. You have to tell him. And so he came to me about a week later and told me he had a dream two dreams that I was his wife. And so he is a man after God's own heart. And my daughter, because she taught me how to love. She taught me how to love. She was the first person that taught me how to love unconditionally outside of Jesus. And so they each played a tremendous part, honestly, in who I am today. And believe it or not, as a coach, because a lot of the things that they taught me in my normal, regular, everyday life, I use it in my coaching.
Wow. Well, first, my condolences to you. I understand. I lost my dad as well. And what I'm seeing, even just from talking to my past guests, is that the father figure has just been like that heightened thing. Like, you know, people don't be like, oh, my mother. I even said my mother, right? But that father figure, is so important. I know that's like a whole totally different conversation, a whole totally another day. But, you know, as I was stating to my previous guest, that a lot of times men, like my heart goes out to men, and just the things that they go to, the what they carry, you know, and sometimes it's rough. But when they are in position, or when they have their ear to God's mouth, even if they're not fully in alignment, but just how God strategically allows for them to plant the seeds in us. And as we grow and we develop and the seeds start to bloom and blossom, and it always reminds me of that scripture, you know, some water, some plant, some, you know, and so it's just, for me, it's just like, when I hear that, I'm like, oh man, all right, God. And it, you know, I'm just like really, really, really excited about that. It just does something for me. Because and even in regards to your marriage, you know, the same thing, you know, people are like, you know, my husband, God sent my husband, and not to hear the struggle. I know marriages are not perfect. I get that. But when you have someone who can carry you in the spirit as well as in the natural, it's an awesome thing. Now, y'all might be listening. Yeah, I'm divorced. Okay, I get it. All right. Listen, I'm just saying, we praying for Coach Century. So thank you, Lord. But I get it. So, you know, now that I've matured, and so now I know what to look for. That is not just, you could carry me financially, but can you carry me in the spirit, right? And so those things are essential as well. And, you know, even with our kids, even though sometimes we might not like them, but we love them unconditionally. I'm just
Absolutely. Well, you know, you bring up some really great points, though. You know, my dad, again, he adopted me when I was young. My biological father, when he and my mother divorced, I didn't meet him until I was an adult. So a part of that identity crisis was that I had daddy issues, even though I had a dad there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I still knew that there was someone that did not want me. So I had rejection issues. I had abandonment issues. So I had the father issues, even though my dad was there and did an amazing job, you know. And so that is something that, like you said, it's a whole nother conversation. But my dad, whom I consider him to be my dad, he, you know, again, he adopted me. I had his last name. But you know, it was amazing. And even you talked about the marriage. Yes, you do need somebody that can carry you in the spirit. That is the single most important thing, because if they cannot carry you in the spirit, then what is going on? I mean, my husband, he didn't know, he knew what a prophet was, but he didn't know the depths of it. And so God taught him. And so, you know, there are things that he had to learn about me, and how we are behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the things that we endure, the things that we go through, our lifestyle, everything. And he has been amazing. You know, he carries me, he knows how to carry me in the spirit now. And it is absolutely phenomenal. And I don't, it doesn't matter what office you hold. It absolutely doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as you are a son of God, you know? So, it's imperative. It is imperative. And then the children, my daughter, when I had her, I didn't know Jesus. I had no idea who Jesus was, but I knew I had this knowing in me that someone was watching me as it related to her. And I tell people that all the time, but God was letting me know that she belonged to him. She belonged to him. And so you're right. She's 23. So sometimes we're not, the best of friends, but then there's those times where she's just absolutely my heart. I mean, she just the epitome of my heart. He showed his love to me through her.
Yeah, amazing. It's something. I had my son when I was 15. So we're 15 years apart. Then I had the next one at 20. And then I had the other one at 25. And they're all different. And so, my son and I, we used to bump heads. We talk about a lot of times, even though sometimes we still have our moments. But one day we was dealing with something. It had nothing to do really with me and him. And he looked at me and he was like, Mom, I need you, right? And that thing pierced my heart. Like, I told him I needed that. And it was something so simple, but I needed to hear that. Because sometimes we go through so much. I always tell my children, like, listen, before I was mom, I was San Teresa, right? And so that means before I held that title of being mom, auntie, whatever, like I'm still Teresa, I'm still human. I still feel, so even though you may feel like I could take everything, not necessarily so you just don't see it all the time. I just deal with it in my own way. And so I think teaching them that over the years, it just developed a different type of and it took a while. It didn't like it happened right away. I think it took me probably till I was in my 20s to even say that to them so that they could have the realization, because at that point in time, it was like, okay, it's okay for me to say that I'm not okay. And I need to tell you why I'm not okay, because I'm human. So you can't just say anything to me that you want to, because I cry like you cry, I hurt like you hurt, or whatever. And so that was my healing moment. And so I love my children unconditionally, but I just had those moments where I was like, I'm looking at sideways, like, did I raise you? Like, did I? Like, anyway, just so, that was just so, I'm like, okay. So what I want to talk about is Clubhouse and your group, your women's group, your awesome women's group. I definitely want to talk about that because it's an amazing group. And I know I don't wake up at 7:00. I'm up. Let me say this. I'm up because I can't say I'm asleep. I get up early. I need to remember pray for me in my calendar situation. I tell people all the time, I have you such a clock, your phone, but I have so many notifications on my phone. So I tell people now, stick to the basics, stick to what you know, stick to what you can do. Because for me, I need to write it down. I am the person who was at work and had posters all over the place because that was just me. And I think I had so many posters one time that people came into work early and they decorated my desk with all posters. Like it was a joke, but it was funny, but I actually really loved it because then they gave me like this basket of Post-its. So I've gotten better, but I need to see it. So I need to like put a memo up to be like log in. That's when you see me pop in and be like 7:10, or you'll see me pop in at like 7:50, but I'll be like, oh, and then I'll go in. And then Clubhouse ding you so much and ping you so much. I'll be like, listen, just send me one ping and then I'll look and see where I want to go. But anyway, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. Maybe when we're offline, I can explain that. But I would love for you to tell us about, your Clubhouse group and the great things that you have going on in there. It definitely is a blessing. It's definitely a place to grow, a place to learn in. And so, yes, I'm going to stop talking now.
Well, that's actually it. That's what our mission is. We are Women's International Network, Club WIN, and we are women coming together, linking arms. I believe in women supporting one another, not the fake support, but truly supporting one another. And so I want to see women come into the club and be able to come into a room and get exactly what they need. I don't do a lot of the promoting. It's not prohibited, but we highly suggest that you do not do a lot of promoting in the club, because there's a lot of folks are doing that. So we have rooms where we are providing valuable information to help a woman grow in various areas. We've had women talking about menstrual cycles. We've had women talking about leadership. We've had women talking about mind, body, and soul. We've had women talking about just so many different things. And so we like to have these rooms that are going to really build up a woman, and really, when she walks away, she's got true strategies, not you standing on stage and pitching yourself. So it's really important that we come together, for me, and we do that. So yeah, Club Win.
It's a wonderful club, you guys, like just phenomenal. And they have different rooms at different times. So make sure if you're on, actually, everybody can get on Clubhouse now. It's iPhone and Android. So don't look at it as it's a Facebook thing, or it's like Facebook. It's totally different. And you can't even like record, like what is said in the room is said, and that's it. What I like about it is that, like you said, it's a safe place. And so I appreciate that it's not a lot of advertisement done. I say that because, first of all, let me say I've been on Clubhouse for a while. There's no drama in the room. I've seen rooms where I've looked at titles and been like, huh? And so, being in leadership and sometimes even holding a title as a coach, you need a safe place and outlet to go to. Sometimes, like if you can't reach your coach, or if you can't reach your counselor, if you don't want to talk to your friends, or if you need a whole totally different perspective, you need a place to go. And that's what I find in the room, that when I go in there, like I don't feel like, okay, I have to muzzle today. Because I've been in rooms where, people have been like, hey, how you doing, coach? I'm like, I'm great. Everything's so good. And so when the host said to me this in this particular room, she was just like, a lot of people say they're okay and they're really not. And I started laughing. I was on mute and I started laughing. I really wasn't, though. And so, but only God revealed that to her. And so those are the people that I could go into the room and be like, okay, like when I came into the room, you was talking to me, I'm an introvert. I think, in regards to me catapulting out. And then when you said, coach, I'm going to get it out of you. I was like, maybe that's why I overstayed. I can only be my authentic self. I can't be nobody else but Santry, so I just can't. But.
And here you are on a podcast.
Okay, we're not going to go there. I know, right? Listen, I know. I'm
an introvert. I'm an introvert.
Too.
I'm an extreme introvert. And so I did a summit recently. I was a part of a summit where there was about 30 of us. And we talked about that. The summit was the introvert summit, the introverted summit, something like that, is all women. But everybody talked about being an introvert, because people don't understand us. People think because they see me out front that I'm an extrovert. Not at all. Not at all. Not at
concur. All. I concur. I tell people all the time, like, listen, I don't be liking to talk. I do it because that's what God has me to do. And so that came attached to my yes. But if it was up to me and my answer was a no, I wouldn't do it, because it's my yes that causes me to do that. It's my yes that causes me to go live. It's my yes that causes me to comment or to encourage or to say something. Because if it was up to me, I would be like, I ain't doing it. And I did it for so long. And so my close friends who know me, I used to tell the Lord, just give me till I'm 40. Just let me do whatever I want to do till I'm 40. And so now now I'm 40, I turned 41 this year. So now when I speak to them, oh my God, I'm so busy, I just want to breathe. They was like, well, you told the Lord when you was 40, and so you got to catch up. And I'm like, Like I told the Lord to wait. Now I'll be having these conversations with him, right? I was like, but I tried to ask the Lord if he could just wait until I finish my master's program. That will push me into my mid 40s, but he's not listening to me anymore. And so, yeah, that's kind of the place that I found myself in, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm all right with that. I've accepted it. I've embraced it. I take deep breaths, I process it totally. So listen, you've said so much. And my biggest thing is that, you've said a lot, but my biggest thing is that I know that something that you said has touched somebody. Somebody found themselves in the place of where you were, and so they're probably listening. They're like, yeah, all of that resonated with me, and so I'm very big on call to actions because I never want to leave our listeners or the people, those who are watching, with nothing to do afterwards. For us to end the podcast and for them to have to go search something out. We all know when you put something in Google, you get about 50,000 responses, and it's not. My mother used to make me do that. Like something was wrong and she would tell me to Google it because she was a nurse. And I used to think something was really wrong with me. Like, and she would laugh. And I don't find that funny because, back then we had medical books. So I'm like looking up the symptoms. And I'm looking, and then I'm thinking I got all these diseases and stuff, and it's something like a cold, or I stubbed my toe, I got a splinter or something like that. And so I want to just make sure that when this podcast is over, that they have some type of call to action. So as God leads you, whatever he leads you to say to our listeners, to our viewers, and I'm going to yield the mic. I sound like Clubhouse. And so I'm going to yield the mic because again, I could be chatting.
I love it. I want to see this in Clubhouse. I see. So, I would say for those that have been listening, get in touch with me because I am really, really on a mission. This is not just about acquiring clients, but I am on a mission to create a movement where people actually know who they are authentically, where they know exactly what their purpose is, because I believe that is a formula. I believe that is the answer to life, honestly. If you know your authentic self and you know what your purpose is, you don't have to waste time trying to figure out all of that stuff. You're able to then really pinpoint what your goals need to be and then just work on that. And you're free. If you notice, I had for the folks that are listening, I know you can't see it, but I have this shirt. It says Celebrating Freedom. And that's why I wear this shirt, because you are able to celebrate freedom. And that's what I want people to be able to do, to celebrate that freedom, to be their authentic selves, to really be in their purpose, because there's freedom in that. There's true freedom in that. There's impact. There's so much in their purpose. And then the goals is just a sideline, but that's really pulling your vision to you. So what I would say to people today is stop chasing a dream and begin to pull your vision to you. And the only way you're going to do that is to unveil your authentic self and discover your purpose. I am big on that. That is my life. At this point, that is my life.
I am so excited. I'm not going to sing. I'm really hoarse. Ministry Sunday and prayer and all kind of stuff. I don't got no voice. I wouldn't even attempt to sing on this episode because that just ain't going. Then people going to talk about me. They're going to be like, we was having a great show. And then Coach Teresa decided to sing, was off key. She was hoarse. It was. Been there, done that. I tried in a clubhouse where I think I was going to worship. I was just in a worship mode. I'm like, I'm going to go live. I had my son playing, and it wasn't an epic fail. I'm never going to say that because God moved. But when I first started, I was like, Lord Jesus, let me lower that note, please. Horrible. Anyway, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. I know I say that a lot. I'm so glad this podcast once a week. So they're going to be like, what is the other day? I have no clue. I just say it because, I can only, again, just be me. And I just love to laugh and love to joke around. It's good for the soul. It's good for your heart. Laughter is good as medicine, right? That's what the Bible says. But sometimes you just got to laugh, y'all. You just got to laugh.
Right.
Hit a note, sing to yourself. You can't sing, just sing, whatever you do. And if you can't find it, be authentic and be like, you know what, I can't sing, but I'm going to sing to myself today anyway. That's all. But if you're trying to find your authentic stuff, definitely hit up Coach K. Listen, Coach K, you didn't tell us how to find you. I know.
Yes, absolutely. You can go to my Linktree, which is Linktree/Coach Karena, Karena. You find out everything you need to know. My website is there. Other links are there. I actually have a workshop coming up that is there as well. So, and I have that actually every month. So if you miss the latest one, you can catch it on the next time. So I have a workshop, which is Discover Your Purpose. And I'm actually going to be incorporating another free workshop. All of them are free. And so go to Linktree/Coach Karena and you can get everything you need to know about me.
I need to get a Linktree because I'm over here talking about, yes, you can reach me at Santresa, WSANTERE. That was so simple. Listen, y'all, if y'all missed it, listen, I'm gonna put the link. I'm gonna make sure that in her bio, I'll put the link, the contact information. That was so easy. Like I just be putting, oh man, listen, she gonna have to invoice me, y'all. That quick. I'm gonna be broke by the time this podcast hit a year because I just been meeting some phenomenal people. I've been like, listen, you gonna have to invoice me. We gonna have to talk. I'm like, help me, Lord. You gonna have to bless my finances or something because you gonna have to barter or something. I mean, you see how long my name is? I just be spelling it. Sometimes I gotta think about it because I'm just, anyway, that's all. Oh boy, I tell you, it's just one of them days. Oh man. All right.
Uh-oh.
No, it's fine. I told you I do the same thing sometimes. So listen, you have any last comments? Like I really don't want to end this podcast, but I'll probably be laughing the whole time. And Lord, I'm gonna have to hide somewhere because she's gonna be like, she said, you're not quiet. I done talked to you. I done seen your authentic self. Jesus help me. Jesus take away. All right. Are there any final comments, any final anything that you would like to say to our viewers? I just really, really, really want to thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. I appreciate all that you do, the things that you say. I know I'm very quiet because I love to sit at, let me say this right. I love to sit at the feet of people who are actually pouring out substance. That can be applied because a lot of people pour out and give out a lot of stuff that's just not anything worth really sitting and indulging in. And I truly believe that, he who the Son has set free is free indeed. So when I interact with people, I need to make sure that when I'm walking away, that it's something that's helping me. Or even if I've poured out, I know that one day I'll be able to go back to, and we could iron sharpens iron, right? And so a sensible conversation, a sensible thing. And so I appreciate that I can go and I can sit and I can listen. And that's why I repost your stuff, because it's not about Santresa. It's not about Santresa trying to obtain people. I'm really the type of person where if I meet somebody and I feel like their level of help is beyond my scope. Now, I can coach anyone, but again, I don't play with people's lives. And so if I feel like, let me not touch that. I'll talk to you for a day. I'll get you right. I would never leave anybody stuck. But I'll say, hey, let me refer you out. I know that Coach K, she good in this area. Like she specializes in this area. And, let me reference you out to, somebody else. And that's just how I am because I don't play with people's lives. And so I appreciate you that I could come to you. And I appreciate the fact that I can even send people to you, if need be, just because I know that when they walk away, that they won't be damaged.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So I appreciate that. So are there any final thoughts or comments that you would like to say? I'm not going to laugh. I promise you. I'm going to be serious. I ain't going to laugh right now.
The only thing I would say is I'm ready to see you on Clubhouse.
See, it was supposed to be for the people.
You.
I love you.
I love
you. See, it was for the people. So now y'all all gonna be like, well, we want to see you on Clubhouse. And I'm just telling you.
And I have plenty of invites. So if y'all want to see her on Clubhouse too, hey.
That's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother day. We'll talk about it. Listen, you guys, I want to say thank you. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been amazing. I think that you guys will see, if you've been listening over these weeks, it's getting, as my old pastor would say, God, as he's resting in Jesus, Apostle Sneed, he used to say, and I know it's wrong English, this is getting gooder and gooder and gooder every week. And I just so thank God just for the platform and just for a place to come for fellowship and where we could just talk and just be able to share and be our authentic self. So make sure you guys are tuning in. Listen, if you listen to this, you're listening to it as you're listening to it. If it's something that resonated with you, or if it's something that someone else could use, it will help them out. They're going through it. You see a need, even if it's down the road. Make sure you like, share, send it out, tell them to subscribe so that they could, follow through. Coach K even has a podcast. Now I know she already gave out her link, what is it, link tree? Her link. I got to get one, y'all. It's okay. When I get one, then I'll know how to pronounce. I'm working on it. All right. So let me say again, thank you guys for tuning in. Listen, we will be back here, same place, same time, Wednesdays at 8:00 at night. We are going live. So it is virtual. So y'all can grab your food. You can eat, listen, talk, whatever, all at the same time. On Facebook, if you catch it on Facebook, you can always comment in the comment section. We will be following the comments even after the fact. So if you have any questions or whatever, you can always type it in there and we'll be able to see it. And so you guys, I love to end with this quote. And so I would like to say it. It's healing doesn't mean that the damage never existed. It means that the damage no longer controls your life. This is Coach Santrisa. I am signing out. Thank you again for coming on. And I will see you guys next week. Take care.